everybody. This is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed Podcast. This is going to be part 2 of the Bible.
For Jim.
Yeah, for Jim. And so if
Love you, Jimmy.
If you didn't listen to the first episode, please go back and listen to the first one, and this is the second one.
I do feel like it's some of our best conversations.
So far,
back and forth.
We're
getting
there.
It's a good topic.
It is a good topic. So, back into some of these contradictions real quick. And then I'm going to stop there and we can just... Because I was giving you contradictions about God. Now let me give you contradictions about the Bible itself. Exodus 28. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Then in Romans 14:5 it says, one man esteemeth one day above another. Another man will esteemeth every day alike. But let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind of what day he esteems. So
you're supposed to keep the Sabbath day
holy, but then, you can choose whatever day is the Sabbath for you.
Right.
Whatever.
Which the Sabbath isn't any day. It's
Saturday,
right?
Well, it was Saturday, and then it's Sunday now. And
right.
Okay. Ecclesiastes 1:4. The earth shall abideth forever. Then you go to 2 Peter 3:10. The elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works and that therein shall be burned up. So which is it, guys?
Right. Is it going to abide forever?
Or is it going to burn up in the fervent heat?
Right. Which I guess basic physics will tell you eventually it will burn up. The sun will burn too hot and that'll be it.
Well, here we go. Here's a great one. Genesis 32:30. I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Okay? Mm-hmm. Then John 1:18 says, no man hath seen God at any time. I mean,
that's great.
There could be no more of a direct contradiction than that.
And it's funny because the people that wrote the version of the Bible that you read did this shit on purpose. They did this shit accidentally on purpose. Like, it's smart. Like, they're telling you that they're fucking lying.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Matthew 19:26 says, with God, all things are possible.
It's true.
But then you go Judges 1:19. The Lord was with Judea, and he drove out the inhabitants of the mountain. But he could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley because they had chariots of iron.
Right.
Yeah. Well, with God, all things are possible. Asterisk, unless they have chariots of iron.
Unless you're in the valley with iron.
With iron. Then, hey.
I ain't going near those fucking sites.
Hey.
Valley motherfuckers.
Hey. All things are possible except for chariots of iron. That's where he draws the line, ladies and gentlemen.
I ain't dealing with it.
The chariots of iron. Okay. Exodus 21:23-25. Thou shalt give a life for a life, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, and stripe for stripe. Then you go to the New Testament, Matthew 5:39. Ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the cheek, turn him of the other also.
Right.
So back in Exodus, in the Old Testament, if someone plucked out your eye, you plucked out his eye. Someone burned you, you burned him. But then when Matthew's, when it came along to the New Testament, they're like, no. We were wrong.
Wait a minute.
But remember, God doesn't change. But
right.
Never changes.
No.
Here's another funny thing. And this isn't even from any Bible verse, but I'll just put this one out there. God never changes. But in the Old Testament, it was fine to have more than one wife. And concubines.
Yeah.
And slave slut servants who you had kids by. But then in the New Testament, you were only allowed one wife. One wife.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to have a good damn reason for divorcing her, too.
Yes, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's
But
crazy.
hey, just remember, Jason, God never changes.
No.
What he said now is what he said then. I mean, just because he contradicts everything he said in the Old Testament with what he said in the New Testament means nothing.
Right.
We'll just overlook that.
Yeah.
Right. And the way they get around it, it's funny. Because they say, that's the old law, this is the new law. But then according to the New Testament, Jesus said, I did not come to change the law.
Right.
I just came to define it. No, you came to make a whole new law, guy. Like, what do you mean? You didn't come to define it. You came to change everything. Because in the Old Testament, it's saying, hey, he plucks out your eye, you pluck out his eye, he burns you, you burn him.
Yeah.
Jesus comes along, he's like, no, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is you just turn the other cheek. Just
Well, basically what Jesus did is come to make it all right to continue obeying the old law. Because he died for your sins.
Yeah.
And as long as you say that you believe in Jesus, then you can have as many wives as you want. And rape, and pillage, and plunder. You know what I mean? And
As
murder.
long as you say you're sorry.
And kill. And right. As long as when the time for death comes, you just speak with your mouth.
Say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I repent and I believe in Jesus.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
And you're going to heaven.
Damn right. Straight ticket, buddy.
Absolutely.
Straight ticket to ride. I mean, just because Richard Ramirez walked into someone's house and foot stomped them until they were almost dead doesn't matter.
As long
Because
as
you know what? He got saved in prison before that leukemia took effect, so he's sitting right up there right now.
right, he's in the same heaven as your grandmother that never did one fucking bad thing to anybody.
He's in the same heaven as the woman he foot stomped.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, as long as she was able to get the words out before the foot hit her fucking head.
I mean, how awkward is that? You meet someone you murdered. Sorry, guy.
Yeah.
I was on crack. I mean,
God made me do it.
He
knew it was going to happen before it did.
Yeah. So
Obviously.
it was the crack.
He knows the beginning and the end.
Yeah. It wasn't my fault. It was clearly the serpent.
Clearly Satan.
Yeah, clearly Satan was just, yeah, he was good. Okay, so anyway,
Right.
let's get back to reality, shall we, and stop all this fantasy nonsense that we have been talking about. So, it's very clear that the Garden of Eden, and with more research you'll see this, was clearly a facility, an open facility laboratory, a biodome of sorts.
Right. Yes.
And it was clear that there was guards at the entrance and exit of this to keep people from leaving or coming
We know
in.
this because they were banished.
Right. Then there was guards with flaming swords.
Right.
Which to me sounds like a laser weapon or something of that nature, possibly, at the gates to stop them from re-entering the lab to contaminate the further experimentation.
And you touched on it in part one. What experimentation? Well, it looks like they were creating workers.
Right.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the experiment.
Well, see, the Anunnaki, and we go to the Sumerian and Emerald tablets for this. The Anunnaki was a race from another planet.
Right.
And they came here and saw that there was Homo sapiens, which were us. They didn't want to do the work to make the planet livable here for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they didn't want to do the work. So they thought the best way would be to create a race of beings that were smart enough to do the work.
And it even goes farther than that. They were doing the work.
Yes.
And then there was a revolution.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they went to Anu and said, we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
The work's too hard. Yeah. And then that's when one of Anu's sons, Enki, decides to, like you said, experiment with a humanoid something that was already on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that be a caveman or a Neanderthal or a monkey or whatever you want to believe it is, a Bigfoot or there was something here, and they toiled genetically with it to try to create the perfect worker. Right.
Well,
and the problem, basically the whole problem becomes then, the story of the Garden of Eden and the serpent giving the fruit to Eve is there was a deal. They were never supposed to make us as smart as we are.
no. Okay. Now, see, another interesting thing about humanity is most primates have 48 chromosomes, 24 pairs. 24 from the mother, 24 from the father. Human beings are the only ones that have 23. We have a joined chromosome. Now, scientists have said that for that to be possible as an evolutionary genetic trait, it would take literally billions of years for that to happen.
Right.
Humans haven't been alive that long.
Right, and the reason that's significant is because, the Bible wants you to believe, Christianity wants you to believe, the church wants you to believe that we evolved into the beings that we are. You know what I'm saying? Nobody genetically tampered with anything.
No.
We evolved from basically fish to reptile to...
Well, the church wants you to believe that God took some clay and breathed magical dust into us, and then,
Absolutely. Right.
there we were.
But, obviously Darwin comes up with evolution, and then the church kind of grasp onto that. And like what you're saying is, if you believe in evolution and that we just evolved into what we are, it's not possible.
Well, Darwin
it's
even
not possible.
said
that
his theory was wrong.
Because nature doesn't take away chromosomes.
No.
That's
would.
Artificially done.
I mean, it could, but again, it would take billions of years for evolution to do that.
Right.
Okay, but see, this was always the problem with Darwin's theory. And it's been a problem for a lot of people who believe in evolution for many, many years. There's a missing link, a jump. And it wasn't a jump over 1 million years or 2 million years. It was instantaneous jump from our previous ancestor to what we are now.
Correct.
So you went from Neanderthal to Homo sapien instantly.
Right.
In one generation. The only way that's possible is if they took Neanderthals that were here and decided to experiment on their DNA and their chromosomes to make them more intelligent. And that's exactly what they did. They set up the garden as a laboratory. And they couldn't figure out at first how to make these Neanderthals into smart enough beings to do what they need to do. And then they couldn't get the Neanderthals that they finally did get smart enough to reprocreate with the other Neanderthals, because the other Neanderthals weren't smart enough. And their DNA and chromosomes didn't match up. So that's why they finally created the perfect ones, Adam and Eve. And like you said, what was it? Enlil or?
Enlil.
Enlil. No, not Enlil. His father.
Anu.
Okay, Anu was like the king of this place. And it was Enki who decided to experiment on the Neanderthals and make Adam and Eve.
Well, Anu is basically the king of wherever these people come from.
Right.
He basically gives his two sons, half brothers, Enlil and Enki, basically that he gives them the run of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Basically 50-50, right? You take this part, you take this part. Well, they're half brothers. The beings from whatever planet they came from that were here, that are on the earth doing all the work, all of a sudden they say we're done with it.
Right.
They go on strike.
Right.
Basically. So Enki's like, well, look, I think we can tinker around with these Earthlings that are
Yeah.
already here and create them to basically be animals that can obey.
Right.
That's what they wanted. That was
Right.
the deal. And Enlil agrees to this,
Right.
right? But within the tinkering, what happens is, yes, Inky basically goes too far.
Yeah.
He gives the essence of whoever these beings are, puts their essence into us, into the Neanderthal.
Right.
So
And that's
he
where
makes
we get
them the
23
perfect worker,
chromosomes.
but he also makes them too goddamn smart.
Right. Right.
Right? They're not supposed to know who they are.
And that's why they kept them in this lab for so long, because they wanted to make sure that they believed that Inky and them were gods.
Right.
And then when Enlil comes around, and Enlil was quote unquote the serpent, he came in there and he told Eve, "Hey, we're not gods. You're just like we are."
Right. And see, that was not supposed to happen.
Right.
Right.
And that's when Anu and Inky got real pissed.
Right.
And see, Anu was the one that, quote unquote, was God walking through the garden. And he asked Adam, "Hey, who the fuck told you that you're naked and all this shit that's going on?"
Well, see,
And Adam goes-
think it's Enlil. Because Anu is a king on another planet.
Right, right.
So
True. Well, Anu
he's
might have
leaving
been
it to
up
his,
there.
Right. But
Just
he is
above them.
overseeing
Yeah,
it. He
yeah.
is overseeing it. But he knows the deal, too.
Yeah.
Enlil and Inky made a deal. You can make these
Yeah.
people, but you can't give them the knowledge
Right.
and let them know
So
who
it
they
might
are.
have been Inky that was walking through the garden.
Well, it's Enlil
Or Enlil, yeah.
is walking through the garden, right?
Yeah.
And because that's why he gets pissed the fuck off.
Yeah. And then Inky's the one that gave him the knowledge.
And that's why now he's at war with his brother.
Yeah,
A
and then
war
he
that's
went-
still going on
Right.
to this day.
And then he went to Anu and he goes, "Hey, man's like us now.
And
We
then-
got a
and
fucking
then-
problem
yeah,
down
And then
here."
what's Anu say? Flood them.
Yeah. He
Bring on
said,
the flood.
well, first of all, he
You
said,
gotta
look,
wipe these motherfuckers out.
he said, first of all, kick them out the fucking garden. Get them the fuck out of there. Don't let them around the others because we can't corrupt the experiment.
Right.
Then after they spread all over the planet and he saw that there was a lot of these motherfuckers, he goes, we got to destroy these sons of bitches.
Right. Well, yeah.
They're getting
'cause
way too
what
smart.
What happens is Adam and Eve get banished. They go have kids. And then they start fucking procreating with the Neanderthals and shit that are out here, already out there. You know what I
Well,
mean?
see, I think
And then
also...
that all kinds of different, like, interbreeding starts happening.
Well, I think that Cain, when he got cast out, he was actually procreating with the species that they were using as workers.
Sure, everybody's procreating
Right,
with
and they
everybody.
were making
And that's
more
where
beings
that's
like
where the
themselves.
Nephilim come in.
Yeah, that's where the Nephilim come in, which is the Cain procreating with the actual beings from this other planet. And they made Nephilim.
Right.
And that's when Anu said, "Oh, no. Now we got fucking giants.
We got problems, right.
Yeah, now we got a serious problem. We got to wipe these motherfuckers out."
And it's, to me, it's interesting if you try to think of it like from our perspective. What if we as humans go to a different planet and find beings there? Like, first off, we're gonna make sure that they worship us.
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna want to go in there and just openly teach them everything we know.
Right.
We want to keep them below us
Right.
because we came to this planet. We're trying to conquer this planet. We're trying to rule this planet.
Right.
We can't have the motherfuckers that are there already.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, especially if they're like Neanderthals. Because, I mean, if you look at it, Neanderthals were basically animals.
Sure.
They had hardly any intelligence.
Right.
They were very hairy like an ape. They were basically another form of primate, and they had, no knowledge. They were basically like animals themselves. So they took the animal on here that was closest to them, and they tinkered with their DNA till they came up with Homo sapiens.
Right, because the problem with them was they weren't smart enough to do the work.
Right. They weren't smart enough to do what they needed them to do, so they had to tinker
They
them
had
with
to
them
make
a little
them smarter.
bit. Right,
Obedient.
but then they made them too smart.
Right.
And that's when they decided, but if we lie to these motherfuckers,
We have to.
and make them think we're the gods,
Right.
because we have more technology than them. We're above them in spacecrafts.
We have to keep them dumbed down.
Right. They see us coming out of the clouds. Of course they're going to think we're gods.
Sure.
And that's what happened. That's where you get the whole entire Bible. This race made us believe for all these years that they were gods. And then see, not only did some of... See, when the flood happened, not everything was wiped out.
Sure.
Some people that were of the Adam and Eve branch that were messed with lived. But some of the original workers also lived, which were from this planet. And that's where you get at the Atlanteans and Thoth and all of those people.
Mm-hmm.
They are the original people that came to this planet from the other planet that were left here by Anu and Enki and Enlil. And they were just left here, and they said, you know what, fuck you.
Right.
You can stay here with your fucking people and get flooded out, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where the whole story of Noah comes in.
Right.
You're right. I mean, they're trying to wipe everything out and start from a certain bloodline.
Well, I don't even think at that point they were going to start again. I think they were just going to wipe out the earth and say,
No, well,
fuck it.
true. That's absolutely
Yeah.
true. No, they didn't want to start again.
Yeah.
But what happened was Enki, the same person that gives knowledge to Eve, goes and tells Noah about the flood.
Yeah.
Warns him.
Yeah.
Right? And then once the flood happens and then Enlil sees that
Some of them survived.
and somebody told these motherfuckers it was coming.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You didn't just build an ark for nothing.
Right.
And that's when they decided, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
If that's how you want to play it, we'll play it like that.
Yeah, we'll
You
play
can
it
let
different.
your little creation go on and multiply,
Right.
but I'm going to fucking rule them the way I want to rule.
Yeah.
And that's why we're in the mess we're in today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fascinating, really.
It is. It is. It's fascinating that these beings from other planets, and what's even more fascinating is not only that, but you see it throughout the biblical text where Enki tries his damnedest to destroy humanity. Because when they started building the Tower of Babel,
Mm-hmm.
see, originally before that, human beings lived 500, 800, 300, hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yes. Well, yeah.
But what happens when you live that long? You gain more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge.
Yep.
And eventually they got smart enough that they said, hey, you know what? We can build a tower big enough to get up to this spaceship up here.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get up to the spaceship, we can take over that damn spaceship.
Yeah, so that's what you're right. That's
And they
what-
started building the tower to get up there to where Enki was, and Enki said, oh, the fuck you say?
Right.
And that's when he not only destroyed the tower, but he confused their languages and said, no.
And then
now man will only live 120 years.
Cut
Fuck
off our
you.
lifespan, right? And that's
Yeah.
where the chromosomes come in.
Right.
That's where it goes from 48 to 46. They
Yeah.
fused chromosome 2 and 3 together.
Yeah.
And when they did that, they cut our lifespans to 120 years.
Yeah.
And that's like scientifically proven now.
Yeah.
Like there was a Harvard study that said under the most pristine conditions, a human can live for right around 120 years.
Well, now they're actually doing experiments, and they've already succeeded in mice, where they shrink the caps on their chromosomes, and they can make mice live up to 30 or 40 years now, where a mice only lives a
Yep.
few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they said the next step is to start doing it on humans.
Absolutely.
And separate those two chromosomes and shrink the caps. And if they can do that,
they can start.
humans can start living to possibly 300 or 400 years.
Yep, it's coming. It's in the near future. It's kind of like you'll be able to buy time.
Oh, yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
if you'll be able to
If you're rich
You'll
enough,
be able to
you
pay
can just
to have
live forever.
You'll be able to pay to have a procedure done where your lifespan can be lengthened.
Well-
And by how long? Fuck, who knows how long?
Well, look, that's what this race of beings that we're talking about had already figured out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Thoth, the Atlantean, already knew, because he said, I go into the regeneration chambers, I come back in a different avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Come back, when this body gets old, I just go down, I'm in a new body, and now I'm back and going again, and I'm a different person.
Right.
And he did it repeatedly. That's why he had so many names. He was Thoth. Then in...
Yep. He's able to transfer his consciousness from one body to another.
And then when he went into South America, he had 3 or 4 different names.
Yeah, oh yeah. Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan and...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's arguably, the same...
Yeah, the same consciousness.
A different looking person, but it's the same person. Because it's the same consciousness.
Yeah, because he had already had that
and
technology.
This is being done. This is being done. I mean, science is not just... I mean, we're being told basically they're on the verge of it. But the truth is, they're probably already able to do it. Where you can change, you could transfer your consciousness. I mean, think about that. You're Brian Kennedy, as I'm sitting here looking at you right now. But of course, everybody knows you're not going to live forever. But if you're able to take your consciousness, who you really are, and go and transfer it into another body, you're still Brian Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
That's the point you're making about living a long time. Because the longer you live, the more knowledge you gain, the more powerful you're going to be. So Brian Kennedy switches his consciousness. He never died. Now he's just in another suit. But he could be alive for 1,000,000 years.
Well, yeah, and who's to say, really, that Thoth isn't still alive today?
Right, exactly.
He could be walking around for all we knew. I mean, he could be Elon Musk.
Absolutely, right. That's what I'm saying. With all that knowledge and all that experience, right, you're gonna be able to acquire so much wealth that you're gonna have so much power that you can do anything you fucking want.
Right.
Right.
But anyways, these were our episodes on the Bible and the Anunnaki, and I hope you guys enjoyed them, and we will see you next time.
Later.